Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Let's Dev, where today we continue working on our long-term open-ended survival RPG. And last time we spent a lot of time fixing our footstep code. In fact, just about the entire session was focused on footprints and footprints alone. The goal was to improve the quality of the footprint trails generated for hunting targets. And I'd say we kind of succeeded, but it could definitely use more work. We also spent a tiny bit of time making the hunting targets mortal. And today we're continuing to focus on hunting, specifically the hunting targets. We'll add some reaction AI to our hunting targets. This includes not only distance-based behavior, but directional behavior as well. And if all goes well, we'll hopefully end up with something that should no longer just, stand still in the presence of danger. So fingers crossed that we don't screw anything up, and let's get to the coding. First up, we needed some additional sprites to represent the 4 directions our hunting target can face. Next, in the hunting target object, we were going to need a ton of variables. Namely, variables for direction, destination coordinates, walk speed, alert radius, origin points, state timer, vision cone, and you get the idea. In an alarm event, the target would choose random X and Y coordinates every few seconds. This will be used to roam while the target is idle. Next, in the step event, using a switch, we'd break down the target's behavior into states. The default would be the idle state, which would check for the player to be within alert distance. When close enough, the target enters the react state. In the react state, if the target is not aggressive, it runs from the player. So using the player's position as reference, the target does a pathfinding check. And if possible, the target will then start to move in the complete opposite direction of the player. The results were successful, but the alert phase was meant to be a fail state. And to ensure that was the case, I had the walk speed slowly increase over time so the player eventually can no longer keep up. So now with the base reaction added, it was time to flesh out the rest of the target's AI. Back to the idle state, if the target has yet to be alerted, it would roam. Using the destination coordinates chosen from the alarm, it would slowly make its way over to said destination and wait for new coordinates. And to make sure the target doesn't wander too far away from its footprint trail, the random destinations would be based on the origin variables, and to really sell the effect, the sprite would then face the direction of its destination. And with a bit of tweaking to the distances, the results were pretty snazzy. Nothing too crazy, but at the very least the targets now felt more alive. And coupled with the reaction code, we were getting somewhere. Next up was trying to attempt a vision cone. To help visualize this, I drew 2 lines based on the cone variable, which in this case would equal to 90 degrees of vision. A circle drawn in the size of the alert radius was also drawn. With these added, we could now try and figure out a way to create a vision cone that did not rely on sprites or anything other than code. The way I attempted this was to compare the position of the player to the vision range of the cone. So in other words, 90 degrees plus whatever direction the target is facing. And surprisingly, this ended up working. In fact, it ended up working a little too well. The reaction timing was a little too instantaneous, and so back to the code we'd go. After thinking about it for a bit, I decided to keep it simple. If the target is alerted, instead of taking off immediately, it would build up speed. Basically the same idea behind the fail state, only without the added boost at the start. This way, alerting a target is no longer an instant fail. Rather, it's a failure based on a timer, with the timer being the target's move speed. The results, as you can see, are much better, much more fair, and far less abrupt than before. So now that we had the non-aggressive side done, it was time to focus on the aggressive behavior. If the target is aggressive, instead of running from the player, it would run towards the player. And when within distance of the player, the target is switched to the attack state, which would also set a state timer. In the attack state, the state timer would count down. Once it hits 0, the target state is reset to the idle state. And it's during the attack state where we'll eventually write some actual attack code. But for now, just so we know it's working, I had the word attacking show up while in the attack state. And this, well, the attack state works, but it'd help if the state was actually reset to the default state instead of remaining in the same state. But there we go. So, as I was saying, aggressive targets now chase the player down and enter an attack state when near enough. Rinse and repeat. And there we had it, a set of reactionary behavior AI for our hunting targets. It's still got some work to do, but I'm liking the progress so far. I should also note that I skimmed over a lot of the struggle to get this done within the time I had. Silly mistakes, plus trying to figure out the math for the directions and distances made for some tough times. And the code could definitely use some fixing up in the future. But indeed, that is for future us to figure out, because that brings us to the end of today's episode of Let's Dev. So leave a like if you enjoyed the episode, subscribe and turn on notifications if you haven't already, and leave your thoughts on our progress in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.